Hi everyone, Carrie Brunslick here again. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about wording of your pure romance business and how it can make or break you. So there's a tons of different wording out there that you can use, and a lot of times we're using the wrong wording and it can really turn people off. So when I first got in business, a lot of people would say, whenever someone asks you what you do for a living or what your business is about, they would say lotions and potions and things in motion, or lotions and potions and things that go buzz in the night. Like, that can be a really big turnoff for conservative women or women of an older generation, anyone who is just very classy and holds themselves with some nice poise, which, I mean, you definitely want to do business with those ladies. Not that they're turning their nose up at anything, but a lot of times they're just not enlightened to what our parties are actually about. So specific wording, you definitely don't want to use any slang at your parties. You want to use proper terminology like vagina, penis, perineum, etc. Once you go over the proper terminology, you can use a slang term for a comedic purpose, but you definitely want to make sure that they know exactly what you're talking about, okay? Now, you also want to make sure that you're working on your 30-second commercial. So whenever people do ask you what you do for a living or what the business is about, I like to go through our mission. So this is how you're going to be able to kind of create it. Our mission at Pure Romance is to empower, educate, and entertain. And most likely one of those three words is going to stand out to you more than the other ones. For me, it's empower. For other of my friends or other people on my team, it's educate. And then for one of my really good friends, it's entertain. So I can give you a couple of different examples of how that 30-second commercial would look different based off of which word speaks to you, okay? So you can actually take that word and you can create, well, not create, but take synonyms, kind of create a list of synonyms of that word so that you can pick and choose them to insert into your 30-second commercial, okay? I do talk with my hands a lot. I apologize. All right. So for me, my word is empower. So whenever someone asks me what Pure Romance is all about, I say, oh, well, we're a fun in-home party company similar to Mary Kay and Tupperware, but we focus on women. So I love to empower women to feel good in their own skin again, to feel comfortable in their relationships, improve those relationships with themselves and with their partners, and then of course have fun at the same time. Okay, so that covers a lot of the empower, educate, and entertain. It basically goes over everything that we do. It's a fun girls' night out event. It is direct sales, all of that stuff. If they ask me in more detail, I will let them know. I have a luxury spa line, a full lingerie line, and romance enhancement products. If they can't figure out what romance enhancement products means, I can kind of get into more detail, but it's very far and few between of people who either don't pick up what I'm putting down or they just really want me to say it out loud because they're a dirty birdie, okay? But even then, I'm not gonna say sex toys. I'm not the sex toy lady. I empower women, I educate women on their sexual health, and I entertain them at the same time. So those words, sex toy lady, will never come out of my mouth. The shady dildo lady will come out of my mouth, but that's when I'm explaining that I am not the shady dildo lady. So again, make sure that your wording is very high class, poised, articulate how you're running your business, because those are the clientele that you will attract, okay? Oh, also, we don't want to be labeled as those parties. One thing that I learned in business was don't just assume that people know what Pure Romance is just because they've heard of it. So a lot of times when we were beginning in business, we would say, oh, have you ever heard of Pure Romance? And someone would be like, uh-huh. And you're like, oh, fantastic. You already know what it's all about. Cool. So then you would try to like do your 30-second commercial or get them into it. But in their head, they're like, oh, it's that gross party. Like, it's the sex toy parties, blah, 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 blah. It's those parties. And in their heads, for some reason, they think there's live demonstrations, there's like vibrators swinging everywhere, whatever. And that's not the case whatsoever. So they built up this big vision in their head of totally inaccurate things. So a lot of times what I'll do, and I learned this from Danny Todd, she's one of my good friends out in Utah, and she says, have you ever heard of Pure Romance? And if they say yes, she'll say, great, what do you know about it? How awesome is that? That way they're gonna actually explain what exactly they know about Pure Romance, and you can fill in the blanks. So let's say that they were that girl who thought that it was super naughty, and she's like, oh, your company is that company, like you guys do those parties. And then you can say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not really understanding what you mean by those parties. You know, the sex toy parties. Oh, well, I mean, I do have romance enhancement products, but I love to empower women to feel good in their own skin, improve their relationships, educate them on sexual health, and then have a good time at the same time. I mean, you can say anything with a smile, and it's also educating them on the fact that you are not swinging Richard, okay? Like, you are not just like, woo, at your parties. You're having a good time, but you're explaining exactly what these toys and what these products can do for their relationship, okay? All right, so that's the wording that I personally like to use. I use it in my descriptions. I use it in my everyday life whenever I'm talking about my business, my 30-second commercial, whatever. So I wanna make sure that you guys are doing it both orally and written. So make sure that you're never using the goes buzz in the night, or things that with motion, or shady dildo lady, or the sex toy lady, or whatever, okay? So don't use those terminologies. It's not good for your business, and it's not gonna reflect highly on you, okay? All right, ladies, have a good night, and I will talk to you soon.